Welcome to the Lodge. You've accessed
the Lodgecast experience.
Warning, warning, dangerous spoilers ahead. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Hot Takes, Lockdown Hot Takes. I'm your Lodgemaster. With me as always is Brother Bishke.
Yo!
Virtually with us, Brother Lucas.
Hello there.
And the one, the only, the beautiful man, Brother Nathan.
Hey, what's up, guys?
We are coming together virtually for you again. We are at our 4 socially distant, different locations. And we are here to talk about a very special movie, one of the last movies to be released into theaters right as the pandemic was hitting. It is Vin Diesel's Bloodshot. Is anybody else on the planet seen this movie but us? Like, I feel like we've only seen this because it was like the last fresh, like, new movie that was out.
Just because it was just right there. It's a hot ticket because it was lingering in the theaters right before the best of times.
Two weeks in theaters and then direct to VOD. But
yes,
that's where it would have gone anyway, right?
But we saw it in a special location.
We drove 45 minutes outside of central Los Angeles to see it in a drive-in movie theater.
Drive-in during the quarantine times. It's a perfect thing.
It's beautiful. Right? The Mission Tiki drive-in. And we were there. Lucas was not there. Lucas was staying home and being extra safe. Yeah, and I appreciate that. But we're going to take you next time. We're going to drag you out virtually. This was the way to see this movie. The only way, yes. I believe.
Yeah, it had some nostalgia. I think it added to my screening just because it felt like, you know, it's always a kind of a crummy image. You know, every 5 minutes, there's a light that just, the headlights of some fucking car that just, you know, bathes the screen in nothingness, and
then whoever's behind them gets pissed.
Yeah. The image is gray at best, but it has a feeling because you are just, it's kind of surreal that you're just sitting, you know. I had pajamas on the bottom. That
you may as well.
And you're watching this movie, and yeah, there's people around you, but yeah, you're in your bubble. So,
and it's still a feeling of that communal film going experience where you're like, okay, there's about 100 other people here, you know, generously, that are experiencing this film. And that's a beautiful thing, especially nowadays when we don't get to go to our discount nights, boys. We don't get to go to the Cursed Theater 13.
I wanted to honk my horn. I wanted to flash my lights. But when I flashed my headlights, the person in front of me moved. And
yeah, you did it so much after when we were talking about the lights. So there was this gap where you suddenly flicked your lights at this guy. Was in front of you.
Bishke was trying to be communal and have a communal experience and like make some little party lights with his headlights, but the guy in front of him took it to be an aggressive maneuver.
We were talking about drive-in culture, where it's like if you were watching like a Friday the 13th or something with a kill, every time there was a kill, you would honk your horn, and then every other time would be, you know, when there's a pair of titties on the screen. That's what people were like. So Dave, you just did that. I think you just flicked your lights on.
Yeah, well, the headlights are kind of like, I mean, you got to turn, it's like the airplane mode of the drive-in. You got to keep your headlights off, even while you're like exiting. Like we exited midway through Fantasy Island, or I'm sorry, half hour into Fantasy Island, the second feature.
We saw the setup,
which sucked, but we
are you just auto woofing Fantasy Island?
But when you bounce, you got to keep your headlights off. Like you can't put the headlights on because it just ruins the movie. Like,
yeah,
people do it. It ruins it. I mean, it happens. Yeah.
So the drive-in was the perfect place to see Bloodshot. Brother Lucas, how did you experience Bloodshot?
Well,
paint the picture.
I wish I went to the drive-in because one of the things I always love about the drive-in is no matter what era you're in or what year it is, like when you go to the drive-in, you're in the past. Like you are definitely going back in time.
That's that nostalgia,
to like a simpler era where you just had to worry about keeping your headlights off or your radio tuned into the right station.
You can bring anything you want there, which is still fun. You know?
I was impressed by the clarity of the radio. That was like,
and so
the radio
sound was
can't beat
great.
that. Yeah,
I wish
can't beat that.
I had seen it with you all at the drive-in because I feel Bloodshot was such a like retro feeling, like 1990s era.
Leading us in
type movie. And so the way I saw it was in my home, granted, like a projected HD image with my sound bar. So it definitely was like the home theater experience. And for me, like
you bought the Bloodshot. You paid $20.99 quarantine money.
Yeah. I streamed it from home. Yeah. But
bit the bullet, guys. Bit the bullet.
But the first thing I noticed in my living room was like, this seems very dated. Like this seems like a very tired premise. And like, does this movie know what year it is right now? Because we're so far removed from this type of movie. And especially, I feel like with Vin Diesel as the star, I was like, man, I haven't seen Vin Diesel in a long, long time on screen. And so this was the first time that I was like familiarizing myself with him again. And the one thing I noticed was like, he is not young. Like he is not as young.
He's no spring chicken.
And I was and like the first thing I thought of was Sylvester Stallone. And I was like, well, he's not that old, but like it made me immediately look up how old he is. And he's like,
is there a gap in your viewing there?
Oh, there's a huge gap.
So it's like, you can have a heart attack watching Triple X and then throwing on Bloodshot.
Yeah,
because it's he's dramatically older.
And so I looked him up, and he's like in his early 50s making Bloodshot. And then my second issue with Vin Diesel as the lead was it doesn't really work with him as the guy because he's already jacked and like ripped. So it's like, what does it matter if he's a super soldier if he's already Vin Diesel? Like I think I read it was supposed to be Jared Leto in 2017.
Whoa.
And that makes more sense.
It's a different movie.
Richard Dreyfuss kind of body, like Total Recall. They go another way with it.
Like when he can
like a little weenie little man.
If Jared Leto punches through a punching bag, it's like, oh, hello, like he's super strong. Yeah. But when Vin Diesel does it, I'm like, is he just?
It's not as impressive.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, this movie thinks it's like 2002 or something.
Well, it seemed like kind of like with Gemini Man, where the script felt like it was written in the 90s because it was, but then it felt like they didn't touch it. Like they were like, this is still good to go. Like this is still evergreen.
First draft,
let's just pass it on through.
And it's crazy. I don't know if you guys made this connection at the drive-in, but the guys that wrote or co-wrote Bloodshot also co-wrote and directed Fantasy Island. The horror movie.
A true double bill.
They're having a big month.
The thing about Bloodshot is he's a kitchen sink comic book villain. He's like, he has all these cherry picked things. He's Wolverine, and then he's obviously, because he has all the powers that Wolverine has, this regeneration, which is invincible. It's fighting this guy. So that's a problem with a movie as well. But it goes from there to like the Punisher to then like you guys were saying, a little bit of Captain America, the super soldier. So Seth and my brother and I read these Valiant comics with Bloodshot.
Nice. It's
not as accurate. Like he's a military guy and he has the Wolverine powers. It's all about this nanonites.
Nanites.
We'll get to as well. But
will we get to the nanites?
It is a throwback.
That's
it is a throwback.
It's all nanites,
movie, right? It's kind of like
it is.
It's kind of like all you need is a star, right? If Stallone picked this script and did this, we have Judge Dredd. It's like it has like a script, like you said, that hasn't been touched. It's like it has that 90s.
Yes. And speaking to those superpowers, the Lodge Mistress was with me in the car and she was like, this doesn't work because he's indestructible. Like the bad guy should be.
It's hard to write.
The bad guy should be indestructible, not our hero.
Yeah, he's Superman. And the bad guy should not be Toby Kebbell dancing to Talking Heads like as a character introduction.
Psycho Killer played how many times? Twice, I guess.
I want to say at least 3 times
because it's just not like intimidating or like it's like a joke. It's like an SNL parody.
It is, but they also made a self referential joke about that, because he's doing that dance and that supervillain act as part of a programmed reality for Vin. So they even mention how, oh, you even have the villain dancing to Psycho Killer. You know, how lame is that? But it's like, you can't really have your cake and eat it too, because you presented it as cool, Bloodshot. Like, you can't like act like you didn't think that was cool.
They all think they're cool in this movie too. I mean,
it's very, very, all the proceedings are very 90s, right around the time when everything started to become super referential and super too cool for school. But nothing about this movie is too cool for school. Like, it's so like
Guy Pearce isn't too cool for school.
He's not.
Guy Pearce loves these supporting role parts, man. He is always there and he's always ready to play. There. But the problem is when he's in this, it tips you off so early that he is like villainous or part of the foil. There's no way why you cast him when he's like, okay, I'll be back at the office pushing pencils. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, it's Guy Pearce.
I also thought like after Iron Man 3, you might want to cast somebody else in that role.
But he's never like miscast. Like, right, Guy Pearce, we'll take him. He's great.
No, he's great. But it's like I thought if you weren't paying attention, you were like, is this Iron Man 3? Oh no, this is Bloodshot. That's right. Like, I zoned out for a minute.
You bring up a good point there with like a Marvel connection. This does feel like the first Iron Man 2. There's biotech in this. There's mechanical arms that some of the villains have, and we can
there's that ode to the Matrix too, where he's like downloading to like fly a plane or like learn shit. And
it was a lot to the Matrix, and it's referencing
Matrix,
that.
Yeah.
Like, all the effects are Matrix-esque. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I had major issues with all the scenes that did not have Vin Diesel, because like when you're spending time with Guy Pearce, then it like kind of KT with his like IT department or whatever. It's just like, this is not the movie I signed up for. If this was like a Tuesday night discount crowd, we would not be wanting to like see him talk about how like there was open source code or whatever, and he was like, you have my $1 billion project open source code. Don't tell me this. It's like a pilot or something. It's like some bad TV show.
So much techie jargon, so much nanites.
That stuff goes right over my head, man. I don't even listen because they don't care. They're not writing it.
Yeah, Bishke, you love tech jargon.
No, I love the nanites. Is a great name for whatever that was.
Can you explain nanites to the dear listeners?
Yeah, basically, like if you shoot Vin Diesel or like hit him in the head really hard or whatever, his body just regenerates nanite. Basically, I think his body's completely composed of nanotechnology, and he can
it's like the T-1000.
He's just little nanobugs.
He's completely unstoppable. Yeah, he's like Superman or whatever.
So he can take like hit shots in the heads, and his head comes apart and it comes together, and it's real elaborate special effects, I thought, visual effects.
Yeah, and they're like threatening to kill him, and it's like nothing you do is going to kill this guy. Like he's
and he's Vin Diesel. He's not going to die.
He's a one-man army. He's going to blow through every guy. Now it's like John Wick, but he's invincible. Like he can take shots. He walks right into danger.
I have a question: is Vin Diesel the last action hero?
I mean,
doing what they did.
I would say yes, because I was looking up his filmography before this virtual chat, and what blows my mind, like which I did not know, is Vin Diesel is a self-made movie star. He literally took a page out of the Jon Favreau Swingers playbook. And in 1997, self-financed, wrote, produced, directed, starred in his own Swingers knockoff called Strays, like Stray Dogs.
I know about this.
Yes, he is wearing a wife beater the entire movie, which is like his thing, his modus operandi.
He has a dozen.
His iconography. But what's interesting is, I guess before that, he made a short film called Multifacial, which I'm going to send to you now because it's on it's on YouTube.
Well, we're doing virtually.
But apparently he got the short like into some festivals or somewhere, and Spielberg saw it, and Spielberg cast him in Saving Private Ryan based off Multifacial. And when you look at the filmography, Vin Diesel hit the fastball at the last inning, like at the last out, because it was like Saving Private Ryan. Oh, by the way, I want you to do the Iron Giant voice, which I'm making as well. And then he does Pitch Black, The Fast and the Furious, and then Triple X, all within the span of like 2 or 3 years. It's like insanity. Like it's total.
And then
like,
he coasts on that for the next 20 years.
Vin Diesel, he loves a good franchise. He jumps from one to the other. He knows where the money is there. I mean, he didn't want to make a sequel to Fast and Furious, I guess. He was like, he had trouble with that being like, we can't tarnish that being a classic. But he might have been right. Like, but then like the Fast and Furious movies, I mean, they transform into these save the world superhero movies that, you know, my wife and I love that. I mean, I watch them ironically, and I feel like everyone there laughing is watching ironically to these big fast movies that come out every at a pretty good clip. But Vin Diesel is what makes it special for me, because he is like stuck in a time warp. I mean, he is a monster, but I love him.
I don't think we have any more of those guys.
No, I think Brother Justin was right. I think you'd mentioned it at some cast that Brother Justin says the action hero is pretty much dead. These new guys are lightweights, and
Justin's been saying it for a decade, and he's been right for a decade.
There's no guys like Stallone or the people that just brought your mind to action movies, you know.
But if one of those shining beacons comes back onto the scene, people are going to be ready for that shit. People want an action hero, you know.
Want a blood catharsis, man.
I want Schwarzenegger's love child. I want that kid to be the next. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
We know he's listening.
I was looking at, you know, Clint Eastwood's son too. I mean, I'm looking at him hard, you know, checking his resume. I'm checking his resume. Like, dude, if there's a Man with No Name remake, I mean, like, that could be your launch, and then if you're good, but he might be just this vacant dolt, and we don't know.
Yeah, Kurt Russell's kid, but he seems like he has a gentler path ahead of him.
We just throw all our marbles in with the Hemsworth brothers.
Yeah.
Is one of them in this? He could have fit perfectly.
He probably was.
So the Marvel thing, the Marvel going into Valiant to do like an alternate verse, that is happening. Like there's characters there, like
I saw that they're going to do a
Harbinger and Exo Manowar and Shadow Man, Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. So there's a lot of bullshit right there that they kind of probably want to exploit and do their own.
So Nathan, because this is based on a comic book, which I didn't know. Yeah. Would you say that this is a superhero movie? Are we Lodgecasting a superhero movie?
This is like pure blood, like one of those anti-hero superhero comic books.
Because we weren't supposed to be doing any more superhero movies last I checked.
I made it very adamant we're not doing any superhero movies, but then the corona happened. I'm like, I will see anything. I will see anything right now.
Okay.
This one, I knew it was the comic, like, because I knew Valiant, right? And I know Vin Diesel is like geeky. He is. He's a D&D guy, and you guys say earlier, you say like he chose his career or destined his career. I believe it totally, because he's like a powerful nerd. He always has been that strong guy.
Yes.
So him doing Bloodshot isn't just random. I think he picked him because he's like, I could do that character justice.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a comic book until after the fact, but when I was watching it, I thought this is him trying to make it like his Deadpool. Like Deadpool meets the Matrix or something, because of like getting plugged in, jacked in. Like there was all this like sexual kind of like props where they're like, you know, like putting jizz into this item and like, you know, all the bodily fluids.
This was very comic booky. I mean, it was so comic booky. There's those flying drones and all this tech around him that are like surveilling him. That's how the comics were drawn, you know, like those bird's eye view tracking him from block to block. And so some of that I appreciated, I guess, just as a pure throwback action. I kept thinking of Judge Dredd. I don't know why, you know.
It did have a Judge Dredd feel, and Judge Dredd is the most mid-90s superhero movie you could ever come across.
Yeah, or like Spawn, you know, like I was thinking about those guys, like a Spawn movie. It's just like, we're gonna go see Bloodshot, man, you know,
like dumb Upgrade. You know, if you want to go more recent,
it's definitely an Upgrade vibe.
What'd you think of KT Eiza Gonzalez from Welcome to Marwin?
We got some Marwin alumni in this,
and Logan Lucky. I always he was in that as well.
No, anyone that's in Marwin will always be connected to, like, Steve Carell will always be Captain Hoagie now.
Pure blood Lodge stuff.
anyone who's been in Marwen or A Wrinkle in Time or The Mule will always be Lodgecast royalty.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
We're stuck with them.
They're with us forever, like baggage. Yeah.
Let's go to them Bloodshot bones. Brother Bishke, I don't know where you're coming from on this one. You could go a variety of different ways. What do you got?
The drive-in fed the experience. Like, I mean, it was weird. It was like murky, like the Burbank 6. Like, it was tough to see. There's certain scenes that were just tough to make out. But I'm not complaining at all. I'm not complaining.
It was great.
I'm not complaining at all.
It's great.
Like, and the sound on 106.7 FM was crystal clear.
Vin was coming through the subwoofers, guys. Like,
oh god, he was woofing.
Yeah, I got some unfinished business, and it was just insanely.
Yeah. The bass in Vin's voice.
It adds a lot to it. I wish all the sound was always like that, like a good car stereo sound.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was a good throwback. I thought it was perfect for the drive-in. Absolutely. You know, it was confusing as hell with all the techie stuff, but I didn't care. I was there. Vin's a star. I haven't seen much Vin actually because I don't follow the Fast and Furious, and it's
you got time now. You can catch up.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch 8 movies before Fast 9. But in a normal time, I would give it 2 bones, but it gets the quarantine bump, 2.5 bones.
Nice, nice, very nice, Brother Bishke. 2.5. All right. Lucas is shaking his head down in the video chat corner. I can see him. What's going on here?
Oh man, I struggled with this. I was thinking like I cannot believe this got a theatrical release. You know, like COVID kind of did it a favor and like getting it out there, forcing us to watch it. Because it's just like, a movie out of touch, out of time. Like Vin Diesel, I'm sure is great in Fast and the Furious. And I think he wanted this movie to be the Fast and the Furious, like so bad, but it wasn't.
Like another franchise starter?
Yeah, but he played it like that. Like there were scenes with him, like whole scenes, like for 5, maybe 6 minutes, where he's just like sitting by a pool, just looking super sad, you know, and his wife beater while a girl's like swimming in the pool.
Oh, that
and then like
great.
Comes out of the pool and like talks to him by the water, and it's like this is not fun or action packed. And like right from the get-go, like that 13-minute cold open, you know, where you forget there's like no titles or credits. You're just like, okay, it's just a shit fest. And then like I don't know who sent me from Mombasa. And it's like, okay, then like you're both dead. And like, boom, he like shoots both of them. And it's like Bloodshot, you know, it's like supposed to be edgy or intense, but it's 2020. So I'm kind of just like, whatever. And then once it started like explaining what it was, like who Guy Pearce was and what the company did, the less I cared. And I was like, all right, I just want to see him like do fucked up shit. And like there wasn't enough of it. Like yeah, there's that tunnel scene with the flare where he kills the guy. But then I remember sitting around like waiting for another action scene for a really long time. And finally you get to it and it's like an elevator shaft and a guy with like robotic legs and like a little like mini hydraulic like skeletal like forklift pack or something, and it's just not.
It felt like a Tobey Maguire era Spider-Man climax.
Yeah, like it was just not impressive. I was just kind of like, oh, this is not fun for me. So I have to give it a woof.
Whoa!
Oh. It's always that, Lucas. Oh,
no quarantine bump for Lucas.
Poor Vinny.
Yeah, there's no concept here. It's like, I guess if it's supposed to be Deadpool, like you got to make it fun. And there's so many scenes where Vin Diesel staring at somebody, like listening to them explain something to him, where he's just like, like he's like dim-eyed, you know, like you're telling him his valet like scratched his car.
Dim-eyed.
A dim-eyed woof from the hothead.
Oh.
All right. Well, Nathan, you got any love and light to shine on this?
Let me shine some stuff out. Well, I mean, the It's what path you encounter with where you go with Vin Diesel. Like I think Vin Diesel is super charismatic and he's a blast in these. Like, so I want him to succeed every time. He's my favorite character in Fast and Furious because he's just he's reliable. You know, he's a rock. He's like, he is Groot. He is all these things. He's gravitas. And I can't believe it's all coming out of him. And now, he's a little hangdog in this movie.
A little dim-eyed.
I was thinking about when we were at the drive-in, because I can't not mention how the drive-in added to the experience of watching this movie, because I thought in the dark somewhere someone loved this movie. Like there's a young boy, who went with his dad or whatever, 16, 17, whatever, 15, 16, 17, who knows, who's loving this movie and loving Vin Diesel in it. And so for me, this was like a throwback kind of pleasure, and I took it in that way. He is consistently this character that he is in Fast and Furious, wearing wife beaters of different colors. But to me, this is like, I don't know, this is 2.5 bones. It isn't a 3 bone, but for someone it is probably. But the throwback stuff is a lot of fun. And I don't know, it gave me a nostalgic hit. And I kept thinking of those throwback action films that I actually really did enjoy. So this is Vin Diesel's. And we'll see, time will tell on this. It feels like a beautiful chocolate candy bar right now during this quarantine.
Yes,
time.
It does.
I don't know, like
yes,
when you mentioned we're eyeing this movie, we're eyeing Bloodshot. I was like, you know what? I'm eyeing it. Just for a little escapism, just for a little Vin Diesel being a bohunk action guy that we know he's going to win. So, and he's pretty invincible in this piece of shit. He's pretty invincible.
He's hilarious too. Like his line deliveries, I was laughing a lot.
Yeah, we can talk about his line deliveries all night.
He's hilarious.
Rumbling the bass, and you miss every other line. You know, you miss.
Oh yeah.
But he's a heartthrob, man.
All right, 2.5 from Nathan.
2.5.
And it's true. There are stretches where the Lodgemaster and I just looked at each other and we're like, what did he say? Like it'll be like a very heartfelt monologue, and you're just like, sorry, man, I got none of that. But it doesn't matter. It really fucking doesn't matter. So I'm gonna incorporate our viewing circumstance into my bones. The drive-in, for me, the first drive-in movie I saw was Wild Wild West with Will Smith and Kevin Kline. And to me, that's the ultimate drive-in movie. It's like you do not have to pay attention. You can be like making out with your lady, or
it's everything but the movie. Yeah.
Looking down at your nachos, or smoking dope in the hatchback, or whatever it is you're doing. And the movie's just kind of the background. It's just kind of there to add a flickering light to illuminate whatever kind of vices you're up to. And that's kind of what this felt like to me. It just was a shame that we couldn't all be like out tailgating and partying together. Like that was the only thing missing from the experience. But the dimness of the picture, the dimness of Vin Diesel's eyes, like
he's banking sometimes. He's banking sometimes. Yeah.
It all felt like a throwback, like nostalgia, but I can't say it's a good movie. I got to give it 1.5, but I'm going to bump it up, do the COVID drive-in bump up to 2. And that's a generous 2 for me. I don't really feel like this is a 2-bone motion picture, but tonight it is.
Yeah.
And I am interested to see if anybody ever speaks of it again.
I don't think the Valiant universe is going to happen now.
This Valiant run is going to happen, I think. No. They're going to do Shadow Man and Turok.
I mean, this could have made, the audience score was pretty high. I think this could have made, at least 100 million or something. But
well, I think people are looking for this kind of shit right now. They sense that the action heroes are dying off. So they're trying to squeeze all the blood from the Diesel stone. And, God bless them for doing so.
God bless. Yeah. God bless them, man.
No, I will return to the Mission Tiki Drive-In for anything, anytime.
Yeah, let's just go every day.
We'll keep our eye on it, and we'll see if they get any new movies, and we'll definitely be back. That'll be a blast. And Lucas, you'll be there too. You'll be there smiling next to us.
Yeah, 10 feet away. My windows rolled up. My mask on.
We observed the law. We were 10 feet away from each other.
Yeah, we were. At first, I was yelling to Matt outside my car window, and I was like, "That's not cool." Then I was like, "Let's just." then I was like,
We did a call.
Then we did a conference call, and that was fine. Then we texted throughout the movie, which was also enjoyable. So
Yeah, we adapt. We adapt. Well, it's great hanging out with you guys virtually tonight. I wish we were in the
It's
edge.
good seeing you, even if it is on the screen.
We're just using the cutting edge of technology, but
all the time. Yep.
hopefully one day those AMC doors will open back up. We're going to be entouraging ourselves back into some recliners.
I can taste the drink at MacGuffin's.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, guys.
We'll be back home soon.
Keep thinking about that fine day.
hopefully we got some movies coming up. We're looking for any movies coming up. So if you see
Anything now?
any
movies?
if you see a movie
Flickster
coming
right
out, let us know. If you see a movie coming out,
If you see any movies come out, and the good thing about this will be they'll all be on VOD, so they'll be available if you hear about it on the cast, and then hey, you got time, you want to see it, you want to check it out, it should be available whatever we do. So
yeah.
All right, boys, well, take care of yourselves.
Yeah,
You too,
likewise.
So much love and light.
Love you guys.